I think in life, everyone is only 1% successful. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone from an Elon Musk to Bill Gates to you, me, to a little to anyone in this world, right? I think everyone is only 1% successful. And how you
Hi Garvita, it's my pleasure to have you on the first episode of the Aniket show. How are you doing?
Hi, Aniket. Thank you so much for having me on the first episode. It's an honor to be here. And I'm excited to see all that you do with this show. I am feeling well, I'm excited, and I'm really thrilled to be speaking with you.
That's so wonderful. So great to have you. And while a lot of us know about your immense contribution in the field of conservation, we want to know through this episode about your childhood and the technicalities that goes behind a journey as a change maker. So first of all, I would like you to take us through your early teenage years, and I want to know what were the dreams and aspirations of that young Garpita. How was she at the academics, and also what were those moments in her life that actually shaped her change making mindset and and made you a problem solver basically.
Absolutely. And that's a really lovely question because it's so great to sort of reflect on how differently you sort of, thought many years ago and how differently you think today. So that I think is going to be an exciting process. And again, when I think back, I think my first encounter. So when I was a kid, right? I remember my mom telling me I would always love to, be on stage and speak and sort of maybe not express directly myself, but really even if it was hosting a show or just talking about something exciting, I'd always love to do that. I've been a dancer since I was young, so expressing myself in that manner has always been a part of me, and that also has always made me a part of teams and learn what it is to be a part of a group and work together and create value and create shared value. And so I think these two things were definitely, exciting experiences. I was also into various sports. I used to swim. I still do. I used to play badminton almost professionally. And so there were a lot of these experiences that I'm sure, helped build resilience. But all of that time I did it, I was a kid. I was just enjoying the process and I really wasn't thinking of the outcome. Um, I think my first ever encounter with understanding what leadership meant was when I was gifted this book by Robin Sharma called The Greatness Guide, and this was by mistake. So I really wasn't supposed to get that book because I guess it is meant for folks for older. But it landed in my lap when I was about 11 years old, and and the book is written in a very interesting manner, right? Where you can literally open any page of the book, and every chapter is just about 2 to 3 pages. So you read a chapter. Some chapters are just 1 page long. So you just read a chapter, you gain an insight, you gain sort of a perspective, reflect on it. Obviously, I don't know the little 11, 12-year-old me what perspectives I was gaining and what reflections I was doing. But I was definitely doing something. And I would sort of read that book and think of the sports teams that I was a part of or the dance teams that I was a part of, or even any group activity that you would do in school, and just try to implement some of the lessons there. And that would be in a lot of ways very empowering. It would be exciting, and I really recollect that book being very pivotal in general in my life. So that was one set of experiences. I think the second set of experiences really stems from my parents. And this is at large empathy. Um, I remember celebrating more of my birthdays at orphanages with young kids than really having a party. I remember I used to go on bike rides and collect garbage in my basket and then come home and throw it because I just never liked the way it looked on the road. Not that I had too much sense of, the damage it was creating back then. And so I think, the fact that and in my home, completing the food in your plate, completing the water in your glass was a must. We weren't allowed to get up from the table till, we hadn't done those things. And so, and I would see a very different behavior in my friends' homes, in my, other folks' homes that we would go to. So I think these were very, pivotal moments um, that perhaps began to shape whatever journey I was about to embark on. And yeah, I think that's sort of a little bit of a brief and of where the empathy and the leadership and the team building and enthusiasm sort of, came from.
Wow, it's just amazing, and it shows how these small habits and our small acts shapes ourselves. And
Absolutely. I mean, it was really nothing out of the blue. It was not an out of ordinary experience. This is something anyone can experience. But I think just being conscious enough to bring those together, while I know I was not consciously doing it when I was 15 and when I started my nonprofit. But now when I reflect back, I know that these experiences were pivotal, maybe in at least drawing me towards wanting to do something like that and being able to do it well. Because I was ready to learn. I was ready to sort of, pick up those challenges because I had done it or in some manner experienced it and which had excited me. And so, yeah,
yes, it's so true and so great to know that. And so, you started your initiative at a at a very young age of 15. So, I want to know that moment that happened you, or that trigger that happened to you, had driven you to start your initiative, which is globally known as Why Waste, and the movement that you started, Glass Half Full. I'm personally uh, a lot inspired by what you have created and the impact you are creating.
thanks, Aniket, for sharing that. I think this is something that I've shared very often, and I'm very excited by the story. It's an amalgamation of experiences that honestly led to it happening. But I think for the trigger points, there would really be two things, right? One, I really experienced in real time what it meant, what just a few sips of water meant for someone. I recollect, visiting this step well in Ahmedabad, and so there's this little girl who ran up to me, and I thought she might ask me, for some money or something like that. And instead, she asked me for water, the water that was in my hand, and I really saw how that little bit water quenched her thirst and made all the difference in the world to her. And then when I learned that 14 million liters of water gets wasted every year simply in the water that we leave behind in glasses at restaurants, I was reminded of that girl. And how a little bit of water changed her life, and we so callously waste that little bit of water so regularly. And I think that was the pivotal moment for me when I decided that I really want to do something about this, and I need to start somewhere, and so I did.
Wow. And just see the impact you have created. I I don't think any change maker in India haven't heard about your name and the initiative that you have created. I was talking to few of the change makers in my college. The one, if you remember from your first cohort of Ashoka Youth Venture,
Yes, yes,
Rohan
yes.
Hiranandani. So he was so in awe of you that the journey from being a 15-year-old into now, what you have done is so big and so inspiring.
You all are so
And
kind. it's
No,
it's 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 just it's only it's very early, I think, too. But you all are incredibly kind. I think the kind of um, support and love is just so kind.
now I want to know, during your journey of change making throughout these years, what has what has been the learning curve like, and what skills have you learned, the experiences you have had that you will remember for your whole life, and you still apply those, uh, some incidents or some experiences you had. So we want to know that.
Absolutely. And Aniket, that's a lot of big questions that you put together, but I'll try to answer it as well as I can. Um, so the first question of, how the learning curve has been. I think the learning curve has been exponential. I think one of the biggest opportunities that you get when you try to do anything, whether it is be an entrepreneur, whether it is be a social entrepreneur, bring about a change, whether it is try to excel at a sport, um, you when you really put in that effort to do something like this and you try to go out of your comfort zone to try and build that kind of resilience, I think the biggest thing that you do for yourself is fail fast and learn fast. And you sort of learn how to um, convert your failures into fuel. And I think that has been one of the biggest lessons for me, where so I have this I have a theory, and I don't know if it's interesting or crazy. I mean, I'll leave that's left for everyone else to judge. But I think in life, everyone is only 1% successful. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone, from an Elon Musk to Bill Gates to you, me, to anyone in this world, right? I think everyone is only 1% successful. And how you sort of the way people perceive it is different, right? Because you think that, oh my god, he is lucky, he is done so much more in his life, whatever, etc. Definitely there are some individuals who are born with different kind of opportunities, but I still feel, given your ecosystem, you are only 1% successful. And in my head, the way that it works is that if you try 10 things and you are 1% successful, maybe none of them will actually happen. If you try 100 things and you're 1% successful, one thing is going to work out big. If you try 1,000 things and you're 1% successful, 10 things are going to work out. But people don't see the other 990 things. They only see the 10 things that were successful. And so
Yes.
anytime you see someone who has been able to accomplish something that is out of the ordinary, that is different, that has really, changed perspectives, behaviors, mindsets, the world, you need to realize that there has been exponentially just as much hard work that has gone into trying to achieve that. And I think this is definitely one of my biggest learnings, that the more you try, especially as a change maker, and I'm sure you would have experienced this, when we try to change, let's say, a policy or try to change someone's mindsets, you need to try 100,000 times to change that person's mindset. It doesn't happen in the first time. So having that level of resilience and knowing that things are not going to change immediately, or things are not going to just happen if I try one or two things. I need to keep trying till it actually happens, because it can and it will, till the time you don't give up. And that's why maybe trying 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, a million things will actually lead you to being able to create a lot more change. And I think it's a formula for the world: 1% success. Now it's on you how hard you want to try and get to that 1%. Um, Today, Elon Musk, if I have to take him as an example, runs so many startups. Behind that, there are so many that have failed. And today, but those are things that we don't see. We only see the fact that, oh my God, and get so excited by the idea that, oh my God, he's running 3, 4, 5, 6 startups successfully throughout the week. No one sees the number of times he has perhaps failed, or he has tried and experienced and learned from each of those experiences, right? And so while there is that 1% success in that whole theory behind, you need to keep trying consciously, because it's not just about, things working out and things not working out. If something hasn't worked out, if you don't take the time to sort of internalize it, understand why it didn't work out, figure out what you can do to, do things differently, why it didn't work out in this moment, what could happen, differently the next time that would actually make this work, and you keep trying till you actually get there. I think is another big lesson that I would take out of, the many years of experience. I mean, not even many, 6 years. People have 20, 30 years of experience, but in at least in just these 6 years, this is something. These are two, very large lessons that I could take out. And I think one more lesson that I'd love to share is, and this is sort of a quote that I use very often, um, and it's something that I thought of after I experienced, a lot of these things, and it goes something like this: your capabilities lie beyond your capacity to believe in them. So we're all a lot more capable than we actually think we are. So there's a science that actually says that your brain gives up 10 times before your body gives up. So there's a lot more left in you to do. And this is speaking more from, like, let's say, um, a sense of, even if it's sports, right? Your body your brain gives up 10 times before your body does. And since your brain decides what you do, you might want to give up on something much earlier than you choose to do, but you don't realize that you are actually capable of doing so much more. It just requires a little bit more perseverance. And it can be hard sometimes because you don't know what the end goal is going to be. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know whether my efforts. I've seen a lot of people actually contemplate saying, "Do I do this or not? Like, will my efforts go to waste?" And I say that doesn't matter. The outcome doesn't matter. Do it for the journey. Do it for the experience. Do it for the learning. Of course, it should be something you're excited about. That doesn't mean you go around doing everything in the world. But don't be scared to do something that you've thought of doing just because you think you're going to fail at it. Do it because you want to learn from that experience, and you want to, gain from it no matter what the outcome be. And that's going to make you learn how to fall in love more with the process than with what actually happens in the end. And it also sort of prepares you that, okay, once this is over, now this is the next exciting thing I'm going to do. While you need to celebrate the beginnings and the endings. And I was telling this to one of my team members yesterday, who was yesterday or day before, I think, who was just going to start working on one of our projects. And he said that, "Why are you already celebrating? I haven't even started the work yet." I said, "No, I think it's important to celebrate the beginnings, because that way you celebrate the process and you're excited for the, outcome as well." And so that's why I think it's important to, of course, celebrate the beginnings and endings, but it's most important to enjoy the process. And I think realizing that we can do a lot more than we think we can, which really goes directly to that whole your brain giving up 10 times before your body, is such a clear-cut example. And just pushing yourself a little bit more can propel you to doing so much more. And I think the final bit to this question I'd love to sort of answer is, when you create something or when you create a change, you do it with people. You do it within ecosystem. You don't do it alone. While change starts alone, change happens together. And I think the beauty of this entire process, one of the most beautiful things definitely, is the people you meet along the way. Be it your team, be it the ecosystems that you're trying to change, be it the government agents that you want to speak to and talk about policy, be it larger companies who you want to partner with and make a difference. There are multiple stakeholders you meet in the process. There are multiple people you work with. And you have made them resonate with an idea you've had, with something you are deeply passionate about. And there's this whole concept that I love to talk about, which is called believe and make believe. And when you build this ecosystem, one, you've learned how to make people believe in your ideas and get aligned with that. And there's nothing more exciting than that, I think. But the biggest thing that comes out of this is the learning that you get from learning with other people. Every single person has a story to tell. Every single person has experiences to share from. Every single person has incredible thoughts and ideas, and just to be able to gain value from them, to learn from them and to grow with them has been one of the privileges. And I would really encourage everyone to take a journey like this, just for all of the learnings that you're going to get along the way, exponentially.
It's so it's all so much to process right now, but whatever whatever points you have made are so wise. And one thing I would like to share from my experience is that on socials I used to find these people whom I feel inspired from, I feel motivated from. I at that time I used to think that I won't be able to reach out to them like ever in my life, and you were the one out of all of them. But dreams do come true, and it happens with time. At times you get fail. कभी कभी आप कोल्ड ईमेल्स भेजते हो उनको, रिप्लाई नहीं मिलता है.
बिल्कुल,
यू डीएम
बिल्कुल.
देम, नहीं मिलता रिप्लाई. सो it's just as easy as this कि आपको you have to keep trying, and one day you are surely going to get success.
Absolutely. I think it's just knowing that the worst thing that could happen is that nothing happens. Like you said, you send a
Yes.
cold email and you don't get a response. And that's really not that bad. So I think once you've accepted that, everything is so much easier, because you are not worried about what the outcome is. You're just excited to write that email, that experience that went into
Yes.
crafting the right paragraph and sending it to that person, and just having had the courage and knowing that even if they didn't respond to you, they maybe learned a little bit about you through the email that you sent,
Yes.
and maybe sometime in the future they'll come back to you. And it's just so exciting knowing that you were able to put yourself out there, and you were sort of able to fearlessly create a space for yourself.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And like out of those 100 emails, आपके पास एक का reply
Oh,
जरूर
definitely.
आएगा, as you said.
1%
And
success.
I absolutely loved your theory. What you said, 1% success. It's amazing. And on the same lines as you told, that टीम बिल्डिंग का आपको एक्सपीरियंस होता है जिन लोगों से आप मिलते हो, तो इसी लाइन पर मेरा अगला क्यू होगा कि कोई भी स्टार्टअप, कोई भी इनिशिएटिव का मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट होता है टीम बिल्डिंग. बिकॉज आप ड्रीम खुद देखते हो, बट आप उसको फुलफिल सब लोगों को साथ में लेकर आके करते हो. तो आई वांट टू नो योर एक्सपीरियंस एट टीम बिल्डिंग. आई एम श्योर योर टीम मस्ट हैव played a key role in
Absolutely.
achieving in achieving what you have done. So I want to know how you created that team, and what have you learned in this process, that like what would you like to share with us about team building, and how an aspiring young change maker can find uh, can create a team.
Absolutely. I think the first part about building a team is believing very deeply in your own idea. Um, because till the time you are not convinced of what you're doing, you're not going to be able to convince anyone else to do it with you. So be so obsessed with your own idea that people fall in love with your obsession for it. And then they fall in love with the idea. Of course, there are some people who will first fall in love with the idea and then come to you, but they'll want to do that with you, and they'll want to make that change with you because they fall in love with your obsession with the idea.
Yes.
And honestly, that's pretty much how I was able to build my entire team. Like, of course, there were a few folks, but very few who I knew were talented and I knew I wanted on the team, but they came at a much later stage. The first initial team that I built was entirely people who directly reached out to me. I'd love to share, one of our first designers. Um, he was a friend from my college, and I remember during recess, I used to sit and work on the various projects that I would be doing. Of course, once in a while, go meet my friends also, but primarily would spend my time doing all of these various things because you have very limited time in life after all. So I would sort of spend breaks working on, these projects. And I remember during a lunch break on some day, he walked into the class that I was sitting in, and he showed me a couple of designs he had created for Y-Ways. And I had spoken to him once or twice. He was aware of the work that I was doing, and he just walked in and showed, me these 2, 3 designs, and he said, "I want to design for Y-Ways." And I said, "Of course, you have to design for Y-Ways." I mean, the fact that someone actually went out of their way, created, something for us when we were in a very nascent stage, and was so excited about the idea and so passionate about it, that and had the courage to come and share it. I think that whole package was perfect. So that's how he came on board. One more team member, her name is Sanjana, uh, and I think her story is one of my favorites. So during one of her breaks, she was based out of Oman, and so she during one of her breaks had gone back home. One of our college breaks had gone back home, and I remember sometime towards the end of summer vacations, she called me, and she's like, "Garvita, can you share some posters of Y-Waste?" And this is before she was ever a part of the team. She just knew me from as someone from college itself, and she said, "Can I have some posters of Y-Waste?" I said, "Why? What happened?" So she's like, "I spoke to all of the restaurants in my city, which are Indian restaurants, and they're all ready to implement Glass Half Full. So can you please share these with me? I want to put it up." And that was one of the most heart-touching experiences, and pivotal experiences, because someone there's one thing is being passionate about the idea and asking to be a part of it. There's a whole other thing when you go out there and you create change with that idea and then choose to be a larger part of it. It was incredible what she did, to have sort of that kind of a thought process and mindset. So um, I think I had to have her on the team, right? I couldn't not. And while I have a few folks from college who are on the team, our team is spread out across the globe. I was literally speaking to someone 2, 3 days ago who lives somewhere in the outskirts of this very beautiful city in Uttarakhand, and I was like, "Wow, we have people from all over the country," and that's so exciting. And I think that's what's been the spirit of Y-Waste, where and it's not just country. We have folks from across the globe. We've had folks who volunteered and worked with us from Canada, Dubai, the United States, um, even I think Nepal, Bhutan, not Bhutan, Nepal, and I think Indonesia, all of these places. We've really had folks sort of join us from across the globe. And everyone has almost been someone who reached out to us directly because they were excited of the impact that we were creating. And I think that's very important when you're trying to make a difference, because the only remuneration that you can give someone in that process is the happiness of having made a difference. And so for them to be able to sort of sink in with your idea, it's important for them to be obsessed with your obsession over the idea. And of course, I think at the end of the day, once they're on the team, constantly engaging with people, there's that whole how to build a great team and how to maintain a great team uh, process. But of course, constantly innovating, thinking, being inclusive when it comes to making a difference, ensuring everyone's ideas are taken into account, everyone's excited about the change that's happening, making it a collective effort is, I think, what propels you to making a great team and together great change.
True, I completely agree, and also it's like one of the best part of the change making journey, the team building, the people you can convince.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
it
I
empowers.
think another thing is to always bring people who are smarter than you. because they make you think more. And I think
True.
I've always tried to do that. At least they should be smarter than me in some respect or the other, so that I'm learning something new from them as well. We're learning together from each other, we're growing together. That's the whole spirit of it.
In the team of Tale of Humankind also we have students from class 8th, class 9th, and they teach me a lot. Like they know
Yeah,
much more than me. I'm so always impressed by them, by the things they know. So a team is not just team that does not just help you in growing your initiatives, but they also
absolutely.
help you in your personal growth a lot.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so
It's the folks
now,
you surround yourself with who make you, right? And here you have the opportunity to choose who you surround yourself with. And there's really nothing better than that.
uh, and now going a little away from your change making journey. So you are an engineer, and I am also in my second year of engineering. So I'm just curious to know कि आपने आपने engineering क्यों choose किया? Means you were a change maker and you were creating an impact, a great impact in that sort. And so आपने engineering क्यों choose किया? उसके पीछे का objective क्या था? एंड उन 4 साल में आपने सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज, कोई भी एक चीज सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट क्या सीखी?
क्या सीखी? Oh my. If I say something philosophical and not engineering, I think my professors will come and gun me. But I think the reason to choose engineering is a long one, so I'll try to keep it short. I was actually going to go into architecture or design. Sort of last minute realized this is not made for me. I really enjoy um, managing things, create not managing, but more like creating and building things, and building, impacts with communities and people and all of those things. And why I chose engineering over anything else was because I really believe that technology has a lot of capacity to change the world. It is showing us every single day. This conversation we're having today, and the fact that we will be able to share this with so many people after we have it's itself a big testimony to that, right? And this is a small example of what capacity technology has. And so I knew that if I want to continue to be a change maker, I need to know how to use technology to its best capacity. And even if I'm not an innovator by essence, just knowing how the innovation has come to life is going to be so powerful in me being able to propel it beyond its current ecosystem and take it across the globe. That's the kind of impact we want to create using it. So that's why I chose engineering, because I know technology is going to make a difference, um, when it comes make one of the biggest differences when it comes to climate change. And I knew that if that's what I want to do, I need to know how it works. And the only way to know how it works is to um, learn it. And that's when I chose that. I thought that probably this would be the best option, and I'm pretty glad I did it. I think there was some incredible learning. If I have to really talk from an engineering standpoint, just understanding the fundamentals of what goes behind anything that you create, right? Um, and of course, each of us have a specialization as to what we learn, but still having a core knowledge of this is what technology can, what you can harness out of technology, gives you the freedom to be creative and innovate, right? What happens is sometimes when you lack that knowledge, you don't push your brain to think hard enough of what we can do. When you know that technology has this kind of capacity, you give yourself that leeway to innovate, experiment, create, and you give yourself that freedom of thought. So I'm also guess I think, yeah, that's also one of the biggest learnings to come out, that we as a species are capable of incredible things if we do it in a sustainable manner. And to be able to harness that power out of technology is the job of us future engineers.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Although Although I was expecting some kind of answer like it might have been for me, that it was a safe option to have an engineering.
No, for me it was a very conscious choice to take up engineering. Because I actually had other very safe options. Uh, I had some other courses, that really exciting courses that I had gotten into even abroad,
Yeah.
but chose to again stay back in Bangalore to study because I wanted to continue building the impact that I was, and specifically because I was working in water. There's no place more than Bangalore that needed it at that point in time. And I knew I had to be here to continue working and building change for it. And it just all of the dots joined, and that's when I chose to be here and study engineering.
Wow. My next cue to you is, how do you handle your stress? Um, because because I know, between the job you're doing right now and the change making journey you're having, you must have to deal with a lot of stress. So how do you deal with it?
That's an interesting question. So, I'm someone who loves to work. I get joy out of everything that I do, and I ensure that everything that I choose to do is something that gives me joy. And I think that itself eliminates a lot of stress, right? Because I know I'm doing something where I enjoy the process of doing it. And so that's the first part. I think the second part is, I think it would be just give very generic, right? Giving yourself breaks at the right time, taking out time to spend with other people. That really rejuvenates me. Learning to be comfortable with yourself. So even if you're alone and you're spending time with yourself, but that was a big learning for me. Um, and sort of just knowing that it's not the end of the world if something does not work out. Uh, and I think this might be a sort of propelling things, but just knowing that you are only so much in this world, in this universe, and whatever little bit you do matter. And so there's really nothing much to worry about. And I think the last thing would be to be grateful. That eliminates a lot of negative emotions, right? Because you are grateful for every moment that you exist. You're grateful to wake up today. You're grateful to have this conversation. You're grateful to just be able to be alive and experience the world. And there is nothing more beautiful than that, and that's enough. And then what you make out of your world from there, or the value that you are able to add or capable of adding, is all just additional exciting things that you have been able to give to the world and the community around you. And of course, everything that you get to gain from it and learn from it, that's another beautiful piece. So just being there to appreciate those things, doing things that you love, giving yourself the right kind of time off, being comfortable with yourself, are just some of the few things that I would say keep me away from getting too worried about anything. Yes, I was someone who used to get very worried, very anxious. Um, and I started deeply thinking about how is it that I can pull myself out of situation, and being satisfied with your decisions, not having regrets. All of these are things that sort of help support you from eliminating any kind of um, troubles or tensions that you might have.
Great, it's so amazing to know from you. And now we are going to jump on the on the on the end of a podcast, an interesting section, and we are going to play a rapid fire with you. So you have to answer it in one word or one one sentence only. So uh, so are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, yes, yes. Let's go.
Yeah. So what would you choose from one? You have to choose one out of two: fearlessness or bravery.
I think fearlessness, um, because that lets you confront any situation you might be in. Bravery might be necessary to start or put your first foot forward. or make it through. But I feel in a lot of ways they're both very synonymous. But I'm a little bit more biased to fearlessness because that reminds me that no matter what comes my way, I will make my way through it.
Great. And same.
I think neither. I think change.
Wow, that's the spot on answer. Which entrepreneur is your lifetime crush? You'll always have, you'll always admire.
I wouldn't say crush, but two entrepreneurs, two sort of people rather who I deeply look up to. One is Indra Nooyi, and the second is Steve Jobs. I think what they both have accomplished and created are really out of the world, and so thrilling to sort of have seen their journeys and everything that they've done. And there's so much to learn from them.
Wow. So, uh, 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 one show that you can binge for lifetime.
So there's this very interesting study, right, that I read that you rewatch a show because it makes you feel comfortable and it's sort of so I used to binge watch and I would like rewatch a lot, and then I had to consciously stop myself from doing that because I realized the reason a lot of us rewatch shows is because we're comfortable in that zone, so it makes us less anxious. And then when a situation comes where you're really anxious, you don't know how to face it yourself. And so it was, discovering these small things that helped me, by the way, come out of my anxious zones. So I would say I would not recommend binge watching a show forever. But if there was a show that I could, just pick up any time and just start watching, it would mostly either be The Office or by popular demand, Friends.
Wow. And so, what do you do in your free time? What do you do in your free time?
Um, Highly variable. One of the things I love to do is go for a walk and just listen to music. But I also love to paint. I love to dance. I love to spend time with my friends and family. I also sort of like to write. So I just, put down any thoughts that I might be having, ideas that I'm, and yeah, that's what I love to do.
Great. And her favorite book, your favorite
Um,
book.
I think two books. One is Factfulness. It's written by Hans Rosling, Ola Rosling, and Anna Rosling. And they're basically a part of this organization called Gapminder. Factfulness is an incredible book for any change maker who wants to make a difference, I would say, because it really tells you how to appreciate the change that you have made till today and how you can continue to make a difference, and how you should not get disheartened if the change is small, how you should celebrate the change that has happened, how you should really be fixated on data when it comes to making a difference, because that's what gives you tangible results. And I think the second book would be Sapiens, because it's opened my mind to the world, and how we came to be. It has opened my mind to how our mind works. And that has been one of my most exciting experiences. It's really also breaking climate change into neuroscience and why, you know, we think the way we think. Why is it difficult to change mindsets? How can you do it better? How have we come to be? What is our presence on this planet mean? All of those questions so beautifully answered in the book.
Wow. I'm definitely going to read these two books. And now, a last and interesting cue. Uh, one word or one sentence you blabber, and people don't see you.
When people don't see me, I don't know. I don't really say much. There's a lot of thoughts going on in my mind though, and it mostly would be synonymous to something like you can do it. So always pushing myself to do more than I know I can.
Wow. All right, so we have came to an end of this of this episode, and it was so interesting to have this conversation with you, Garvita. Thank you for joining us and sharing with us all the wisdom you have. Thank you so very much.
Likewise, Aniket, thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. You're doing an incredible job. It was so much fun chatting with you. Your questions really made me think, and your reflections added so much more value. Thank you for having me, and I hope you have lots of incredible people join you to have these conversations, and we're collectively able to inspire so many more people to become change makers. Because while change is the only constant, our world is now in the constant need for change makers. So thank you for cultivating that seed through these conversations that you're having.